What's going on, Falcon fan? This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Today we're going to talk about how Coach Stefanski is still building out his staff. He made a very important hire today that was announced by the Atlanta Falcons. Also, like I said yesterday, kind of bittersweet because we're going to also be losing another good coach that the Atlanta Falcons had on that team. Also, there are some more key positions that need to be hired, two in particular. And we're gonna take a look and see who the Atlanta Falcons could be considered bringing in. We did get some news today that Atlanta Falcons are not just gonna go with status quo, which is good things to hear from the way this new regime is moving. I love it so far. We're definitely going to talk about it. So we're going to get into that. And then last but not least, guys, we're going to look at some of the guys that the Atlanta Falcons have on this roster that they might want to consider trying to retain here. That's going to be free agents this year. We're going to look at some of those guys and talk about why, in my opinion, they probably should try to keep some of these guys. And we'll see what we go from there. So with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come hear me talk about. That's right, guys. These Atlanta Falcons. So let's get into the big news today from our Atlanta Falcons. Is that the Atlanta Falcons decide to bring in Mr. Bill Callahan, right? Now this guy has been in football for over 4 decades, guys. 4 decades, and his resume is. I'm gonna just tell you how it is. It's really impressive, right? It just I like the way his resume reads out, and I understand why when when you get a veteran coach like Kevin Stefanski come in, when you ask him about building the staff, it's about relationships you build over time, and somebody you can bring in that has the pedigree that you're looking for, but also somebody you can trust to help you, get a new organization off to the start that you want to get it off to. So bringing in Bill Callahan, like I said, over 4 decades. He started out as a O-line coach with the Eagles, right? Um, and that's lasted for a while. After that, he actually went to the 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 Oakland Raiders. Got to get it right. He went to the Oakland Raiders. What's going on, Dante? What's up, man? What's up? What's up? Went to the Oakland Raiders. So when you go to the Oakland Raiders, guys, he was the O-line coach. He was the offensive coordinator, and he was the head coach. All that span while he was there. Also during that time in 2002, guys, I know you guys probably don't remember this, but he actually went to the Super Bowl. He was one of four first-time head coaches to actually take their team to the Super Bowl. Of course, we know who that Super Bowl was against, and it's kind of ironic because like the kind of coaches, John Gruden went over there, and you guys remember that trade, right? So, of course, that was Tony Dungy's team. We're not going to let nobody forget about that being Tony Dungy's team. But during that time, he had think about it. He was the O-line coach, the OC, and a head coach. And like I said, the first time as a head coach, had took as one of four coaches to take their guys to the Super Bowl in their first time. That's impressive in itself, right? So go from the Eagles to the Oakland Raiders, right? Then guys, he leave the NFL after that run with the Oakland Raiders and goes to Nebraska, right? He was the head coach for Nebraska, and he gets them to a Big 12 championship, which they hadn't done since 1999. So that was in 2006. So he resurrected that program, and took the Nebraska Huskers to a Big 12 championship, right? Um, then I guess job done there. Well, job. He goes back to the NFL where he become a assistant O-line coach to the New York Jets. Once he was at the New York Jets, 2 years in a row, guys. 2 years in a row. He had three all pro bowlers, offensive linemen, 3 years in a row. The second year, they actually led the league in rushing with over 2,700 yards, right? And they led per attempt, right? So they had a really explosive offense during that time with the Jets. Both years he was there with the New York Jets. Those three guys, Nick Mango, I forget the names. You can go look it up. But three guys that went to the actually Pro Bowl during that time, right? So he's his pedigree for offensive lineman. It says what it means, guys. That's exactly what it means. All right. And he went to the Dallas Cowboys, believe it or not, right? And guys, we know who he had there: Terrence Smith, Zach Martin, all those guys who also went to the Pro Bowl. Now you can say, well, those guys was already really good. Yes, they were. They were already really good, but it doesn't help to bring in a guy who has the experience to teach the technique, to teach how you be able to do things like that. Um, and you can't take away from that. So the ability to go from team to team and uptick their offensive lines, and you see the production that wherever Bill Callahan goes, you see the production of the offensive line improve, right? Not saying that because you go to the Dallas Cowboys, like I said, those guys, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, those guys was already, great players. But you just put a guy like Bill Callahan there to enhance what they're already able to do. That just goes without saying. So you love to see that, right? Once he left the Dallas Cowboys, that's when he linked up with Kevin Stefanski with the Cleveland Browns. That first year, 2020, when Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year, they had the best pass protection in the league. The best pass protection in the league, guys, in that 2020 season, right? The O-line coach was Bill Callahan. So that's what the Atlanta Falcons is getting, guys. Of course, from there, he stayed with the Cleveland Browns for a couple of years, and then he decided to go help his son Brian Callahan when he got the head coaching job in Tennessee. All right, we all know how that worked out. Brian Callahan got fired after his second season, um, and that's all you wrote. So, been out for a couple of seasons here now. Going with Kevin Stefanski, once again with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Atlanta Falcons already have a top 10 offensive line, right? So what I take from that is that like what he did with the Jets, sort of like what he did with the Dallas Cowboys, sort of like what he did with the Cleveland Browns, right? You can be able to sort of like what he did with the Oakland Raiders, right? Before they went to Vegas. So all those different offensive line that he has coached and all those all pros that he have actually worked with gives me confidence of what he's going to be able to do with a guy like Chris Lindstrom, who's a four-time already all pro, right? Up and coming um, left guard and and Matthew Bergeron. Had to get my side to side right. But the left guard of Matthew Bergeron, consistent pro in Jake Matthews, who's pretty much an Iron Man for the Atlanta Falcons at left tackle, and then bringing back Caleb McGarrett, who's probably one of the best run blockers, in the NFL, right? And if he could work with Caleb McGarrett to get his pass blocking up, man, this offensive line can really, really be special. Now, Ryan Newsel, um, first time, full starter for the season in at center position. You know, that guy is probably what we hear from the offensive line is probably one of the most athletic offensive linemen that the Atlanta Falcons have, right? And either they want to bolster up, somewhere in the offensive line, they can take, the tools that Ron Newsel got, even make them even better. But this right here is one of the best hires because of his head coaching experience, because he's been around the NFL, football for like 4 decades. This is somebody that can really Kevin Stefanski can right help him maneuver through. Like I said, the start of the show was somebody that can help you get a franchise off. Right, that's what you want, right? Somebody that you can trust, somebody you know is going to hold the people on an offense accountable because he's done it. He's been there. He know what it looks like to get to a Super Bowl. He had all pros that he has coached, so he understands the technique. He understands what it's going to take. And man, when you look at what the Atlanta Falcons had and Dwayne Leffert, right, who mostly I know all the offensive linemen respected him, a guy that was with two coaching staff because he, ran the offensive line so well. They had the Atlanta Falcons in the top 5 rushing for since 2021, right? That's what we're actually losing in Dwayne Leffert. But I can honestly say that I think the Atlanta Falcons actually made an upgrade at this position, bringing in Bill Callahan, right? Um, we want to say, well wishes to Dwayne Leffert. I definitely believe he's going to get signed here really, really soon by somebody, because, like I said, his resume speaks for itself as well. If you look at what he was been able to do here with the Atlanta Falcons. Before that, he was with the University of Louisville. So, running that wide zone down there. And if you look at those offenses that he was control of down in Louisville, you'll be impressed with those as well. But, like I said, well wishes, good luck to Dwayne Leffert. But bringing in Bill Callahan, guys, is such a really, really good start for Kevin Stefanski. Now you look at the two moves he have made already, retaining Jeff Ulbrich, right? That was really, really good move. The word on the street right now that Jeff Ulbrich definitely plan to keep most of his staff, right? You look at guys like Jerry Gray, you look at Rutenberg, of course, everybody, main guy, Nate Ali, what he was able to do with that defensive line. It's really, I love right now, everybody's upset about, so-called the hire and things like that. But when you look at some of the things that Matt Ryan and Arthur Blank and all those guys looking at, somebody that a coach that can come in and build a great staff, right? And so far, retaining Jeff Ulbrich, somebody that's for the first time since 2021, the Atlanta Falcons going to have the same defensive coordinator. So you start to keep some stability there, so these young guys can stand in the same defense for back-to-back years that they haven't done. Guys like, Army Ebiketie, who we probably don't want to retain, but Army Ebiketie has never been in the same defense his whole time. Jesse Bates, since he been here, has never been in the same defense. Caden Ellis got here, never been in the same defense. Zach Harrison, never been in. So these guys finally will get an opportunity to actually, when they get here to OTAs, they get the mini camp, they get the training camp, it's like, refining what they was able to do last year. I mean, this was a team that was really, really good, turning over the ball, 16 interceptions, 57 sacks, second in his league. So his first 2 hires so far, guys, it's been really, really good. So I love the fact that what he's trying to do here. And we're going to talk about a little bit more. Let's get some of these comments first. Kondo, he has a decent in every level, definitely a hell of an O-line coach. Yes, he is. Like I said, his resume it speaks for itself. Those 3 rookies the Jets took that year, Ferguson included. Yes, Ferguson, Mango, and I forget the third one, but those guys, man, lights out. Lights out. And he says, now you see the trend. Stefanski always going to keep O-line, D-line, and primary focus. Everything else will work itself out. That's true. Well, everybody always says that, NFL football started in the trenches, right? That goes without saying. You still need people to score, though. But it does start in the trenches, 100%, 100%. Now, guys, we all assumed that he was bringing in for his offensive coordinator position, that he was going to bring in Tommy Reese. Another name that's been put out there was Brian Cunningham, Bill Callahan's son, right? Those were the 2 names that was associated with Kevin Stefanski that he was going to actually bring in one of those guys. However, today, guys, Ian Rappaport reports that the Atlanta Falcons interviewed Arizona Cardinals passing game coordinator and wide coach Drew Terrell for the OC job today, which tells me that Tommy Reese and Brian Callahan is not a lock at all. And that's really, really good. So the fact that they're actually going out and interviewing offensive coordinators makes me feel like he's really trying to build the best staff he can build, not just going with something that he's familiar with, somebody that he's comfortable with. He's actually interviewing other offensive coordinators to come in and trying to find the best man for the job. I really, really like this, guys. This right here makes me even feel more positive about the hiring of Kevin Stefanski. The fact that he's willing to go out and not just go with, status quo and bring in somebody that he work with from this old organization and have them work, with Michael Penix. You're trying to find the right guy. And the fact that they're willing to actually interview other offensive coordinators makes me feel really, really positive about it. Now, they could still end up with, either one of those guys that we talked about earlier, but the fact that they're doing their due diligence and not just hiring the first guy that because I'm familiar with this guy, but he's looking at this Atlanta Falcons roster, right? And how he can kind of use these guys and saying, hey, I might need somebody else to come in and look at another eye instead of just going with the same thing I had in Cleveland. And our familiarities I have with my offensive line coach son, right? So that's really, really good. I like the idea that they're doing this. It'd be interesting to see if they interview any more offensive coordinators. They could interview Mike McDaniels. Mike McDaniels reportedly withdrew his name from the Cleveland Brown coaching search, right? So he's still interviewing with the Los Angeles Chargers. Of course, we know he already interviewed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Detroit Lions for that same position, right? But what if the Atlanta Falcons bring him in? We know that Matt Ryan, he was Matt Ryan's quarterback coach when Matt Ryan was here doing the Kyle Shanahan offensive stint here. So maybe he don't want to be a head coach this year. He want to do the offensive coordinator position. He's trying to pick the best one. So what if they decide to bring him in for an interview as well, and he sit out for a year to be offensive coordinator, to improve his stock for a head coach for the next hiring cycle. That could definitely be a case, right? I haven't heard anything about Mike McDaniels interviewing for the offensive coordinator job, but like I said, if they're willing to interview this guy here from Arizona, why not expand the search for offensive coordinators and try to get somebody else in? So that's what we like to see. I love it, guys. I really do. I really do. Also, the other position that they still need to hire is the special teams coordinator spot. Now we know, and you can look this up, the Atlanta Falcons was the worst special team group in the league, man. They just were. And the statistic shows it. With between the missed field goals, the blocked field goals, the kickoff and punt coverage, and the kickoff and punt return, they was the worst. They was the worst. And honestly, special teams contributed to probably 3 losses for this Atlanta Falcons team this year, which means we wouldn't even be in this spot right now today if those 3 losses wouldn't happen, probably because Raheem Morris will still be coach. So that's how detrimental special teams is. And most people, when they think about special teams, they think it's just, an afterthought, right? A gimmick or something like that, right? I remember when Kirby Smart didn't take special teams that serious, right? And you can look at some of the miswalks that he had, right? Special teams is one of the most important, phases of football. And if you look at what happened so far in these playoffs, um, you look at a lot of games this season, especially for the Atlanta Falcons, you see how important special teams are. So it's important to find a really, really good special teams coach. Now, of course, they mentioned his old special team coach from the Cleveland Browns, but if you go look at Cleveland special teams, they're at the bottom of the lead as well. So do you really want to bring in that special teams coordinator with I think they was like Atlanta Falcons was last, and I think the Cleveland Brown was like third from last. So, like I said, don't go with status quo just because you're comfortable and you know it. Try to get the best special team coordinator that's out there. That should be your focus. So hopefully he's doing his due diligence. That we haven't heard anything about a special teams coordinator. We haven't even heard that he was going to bring the guy from Cleveland. So we'll definitely have to see and wait. I do anticipate before his interview on next Tuesday, he'll probably be established his coaching staff by then, so he'll have all those guys in place. But we do know that we can see that he's working. They're doing interviews. They're really trying to build this team the right way. Um, this is a whole new regime, right? It just is. We have to forget about what the Atlanta Falcons been doing in the past, right? Because this is a new, right? Only things there that's different. I mean, it's the same as the corner, right? And that's not going to change. But you do have a new president of football. The GM is not even in place yet. You got Greg Beadle, who's really taking a another role as being the CEO of the team, right? And of course, you got the head coach that just came in. So this is a different role for this Atlanta Falcon team. A different regime for this Atlanta Falcon team. So you like to see it's not being, you know, um, executed in the same manner. You can see differences. You can really see differences, right? You don't go with, oh, that's my buddy, I'm bringing him in. No, you're trying to get the best of the best because that's what you're trying to strive for, excellence. So you want to get the best of the best. I'm not gonna get my buddy because I want to get him a job. Now I want to get the best guy, and I don't have to have work experience with him in the past. I want to be able to get the guy that when I bring him in for an interview, we can really get something done together. And that's what we're looking for. I mean, if you look at the Atlanta Falcons, if they can get better kickoff return yards and punt return yards, that would be beautiful, right? You look at some of these teams, right? That's some of their specialties, right? You look at what Seattle did. They went and got Shaheed, first play of the divisional round. What happened? He runs it all the way back for a touchdown. Game changer. That's what you need. Something like that, right? That's what I'm talking about. Special teams, man. Go back to the Super Bowl, Chicago against Indianapolis. I know you guys remember that. Peyton Manning first Super Bowl. What's the first play? Touchdown by Devin Hester. You guys remember that? Uh-oh. But of course, they couldn't pull it off, right? The Indianapolis coach was able to do. But man, momentum changes. Momentum changes. I still remember, and I'm gonna tell the story because I always like telling stories. You guys know that. But I still remember our championship run in high school. We was playing Mary Persons, right? And we was undefeated, of course, right? You gotta go look this up. Washington County, back in 1994, we was undefeated, and we were playing Mary Persons. Went up to Mary Persons playoff game, right? And we kicked the ball off the Mary Persons. Oh, they ran it back for a touchdown, and we stunned because that's the first time that happened to us all season, and we like, oh my gosh, what just happened, right? We had never been down. We was blowing teams out all season, and we're down 7-0, right? They kicked the ball off to us, and we run it back for a touchdown. 7-7. Our starting running back, Edward Swint, ran it back for a touchdown. We tied the game up 7-7. Guys, you don't know how how exciting we was on the sideline because it's 0-0 again. right? And just like that, we right back in it. And that's special teams. That's what I mean by special teams. Special teams, they are momentum changers, man. Block punts, muff kicks, um, you know, like I said, big return yards. Those are, pinning your guy at the 1 yard, pinning the other team at the 1 yard line, inside the 5 yard line. Those are momentums for on special teams. But I still remember that game like it was yesterday. Like I said, they ran it back for a touchdown. We was like stunned, like, oh shit, these guys serious. Then we take it and run it right back for a touchdown, 7-7, and then we blew them out today. So, but guys, and see, I can tell you that story. You can go look it up. 1994, Washington County Golden Hawks. We played Mary Persons, and we beat them. So let's go. Let's look at some more comments here. Kevin Stefanski trying to get a dream team coaching staff. I know, man. I like it. Like I said, I like the not being so, freaking fast with it. I like them taking the time going through the process. Like I said, it's a new regime, so I like it. Right? Everybody want to talk about the hire Kevin Stefanski, but they took their time. They went through a process, and they really let it come to them, and they got the guy they wanted. So you like that. Eddie says another point to your truth, Recondo. Just a little blogger that I'm hearing is that Reese is still his favorite to land the OC, but looking at other potential coaches to have the role. Yep. That's what I like, man. I love it. I love it. Right. And like I said, Tommy Reese might still end up being the OC, but just the fact that they're doing their due diligence is what I like to see. Like you said, he wants teachers and developers maximize all player potential of his football style. Now, that's how second coach supposed to do it. Yeah, man. You're right. That's how they're supposed to get it done. What's up? King Atlanta supporter. What I'm saying, Drew Terrell is a good teacher. If he's willing to accept a particular role, just take a look at how Brissett played this year. Yes, he played really good, right? Jacoby Brissett, man, that's why they willing to get rid of what's the name? They wanted him to come back because they liked the way Jacoby Brissett was playing. So, but since he was a passing game coordinator, so I mean, I don't even know if he was OC. So that'd be a promotion for him if he want that position. 1A high school, get out of here, man. We was not 1A. We was not 1A. You better get your. We were not 1A. Get your facts straight. And I don't care what you say. We would have beat 4A back then. We would have beat Lowndes County. We would have beat Colquitt County. We would have beat LaGrange. We would have whooped all those schools that year. We was the best team in the state. 630-point state record at the time. We was the best team in the state. So I don't care 1A, 2A, 3A. And it was just only 4A back then. Back then it wasn't no 5A, 6A, 7A. They got like 7A now, I think. But we would have beat everybody in the state that year. I promise you. We was just that good. We was just that good. I'm telling you, we was just that good. Go look it up. Now, like I said, we had the state record for points that year, but I'm pretty sure that I think that record got broken. I think it might have got broken by some of our later teams. Who should be the general manager? It's a great question, man, because by now we thought we knew who the general manager is going to be. It's kind of interesting. First, for one reason, we haven't heard any interviews for the general manager, and we assumed we was going to hear that. But we haven't heard any interviews about who's the general manager. And we thought it was going to either be Josh Williams or Ian Cunningham. Both of those hot guys, have since been eliminated from the playoffs, but we haven't heard anything. So I don't know who the general manager is going to be. Maybe somebody that we haven't talked about. You remember they also interviewed the um the Lions executive as well for the president of football. Maybe that's who it's going to be. I can't think of his name off the head. If anybody knows his name, they shout it out in the chat. But um, they did interview a guy from the Panthers. They interviewed a guy from the Lions as well. So maybe one of those guys going to get it. But at this point in time, we all assume it was either going to be Josh Bush or Ian Cunningham. But no announcement has been made as of yet. So not sure who's the general manager is going to be. I played against married person in high school. That's what I'm talking about. They were sorry one day. I know. I know they were sorry. Yeah, man. But anyway, guys, that I I like this coaching staff, man. I really do. I really do. I like what they're trying to bring to the table. Um, it's not finished yet. It's not a finished product. Let's see how it all settles. And at the end of the day, we might get the special team coordinator from Cleveland. Might get Tommy Reese from Cleveland. So just bringing in his old guys. That could be the case. But the fact that they're just not already got those guys hired and they really going through trying to find the best guys, I like that. So you got to remember this is a chaotic coaching cycle because it's still 6 positions for head coaches open, and all those head coaches got to create staffs as well. So it's and some people might be waiting to see where this coach going to go and where this coach going to go because they might want to go there, for the opportunities and things like this. We got two teams that have former MVPs that has not hired a coach yet. And, some of these assistants might want to go there because those are really good positions, right? The pressure is going to be on without a doubt, right? In Buffalo and with Baltimore. But, that's where the spotlight's going to be on you because you got, like I said, bona fide MVPs at the helm running those teams. And so you might like, that. So that's one of the good things about it. 4A, y'all would have got beat. Man, you okay, dude. We went after we won the championship, right? We went to the Capitol, and I think Colquitt County was there, and at the time we had Takeo Spikes on our team, right? All American that went to Auburn, um, and they did the whole speech, and it was like, he's the best player in the state of Georgia. And then the Colquitt County coach got up and said, well, Coach Tomlin might have the best player in Georgia, but we got the best team in Georgia. And we was like, man, let's play. I wish we could have played. I wish they would have did that back in the day. Let the 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A play each other, so we can get the bragging rights. Because we would have whooped anybody from down Southwest Georgia, Colquitt County, Lowndes County, Valdosta. I know we heard about Valdosta back in the day. We heard about Lowndes County back in the day. Colquitt, we heard about all those teams, how good they were. But they would have got mollywopped by the Washington County Golden Hawks in 1994. I'm just saying. Just saying, man. I know Dante, if Dante still on in the chat because he was in here earlier, he can co-sign because Dante was on that team. And he'll tell you how good Washington County Golden Hawks was. So I'm just telling you, man. Just telling you. Just saying, them Bearcats always had the number 1D. Not better than ours. Not better than ours. Yeah. Keo, man. Keo was he was something, man. I still remember our state championship game. Keo was he was like he can do shit on defense. So all those he was just out there, man. He didn't play bad. He didn't do nothing, but it was crazy. That go Dante. Tell him, dog. Tell him about Washington County, dude. Just tell him how good we were. They disrespecting us, man. Dante, you remember that married person game, dude? I didn't know the Falcons' new offensive line coach was Dallas O-line coach for that great line. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And like I said, them guys were so good. Like you like, do you give him any props for those guys? Well, he was their O-line coach, so hey, we're gonna give him all the props. Those guys were. I know Zach Martin. Those guys was those Hall of Famers, man. Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, those guys was great. But yeah, he was the O-line coach for those guys. Yes, he was. Lady says we lost 4A state championship that year, all because they wore the field and result. See, excuses, bro. Excuses. We could have played it in on gravel. We would have won. Just saying, dog. We could have played jailhouse rules. We would have won. We was that good. I'm telling you, man. We had I think we had one game where we won 28-7. And I think it was against, I forget who that was against. Was it Mitchell Baker? I can't remember. I don't remember the team, but we won 28-7, and the coaches was mad at us because the game was that close. I'm not lying to you guys. That's how good we were. Yes, I'm bragging about the 1994 Golden Hawks, man. Yeah, that's how good we were, man. Best team best team ever from Washington County. Just that good. They had some more undefeated teams, but not like that. Washington was okay. Not that year. They didn't beat us that year. I can tell you that much. We went undefeated. All right. Last segment, guys. We're gonna talk about today is players the Atlanta Falcons should try to retain this. Try to retain. So we do have some free agents, and I'm not going to even go out all the free agents we got. I'm just going to ones that I think the Atlanta Falcons definitely need to look into trying to keep here, right? To help this team move forward, right? So we want to have them part of this new makeover that Atlanta Falcons going through. And the first guy that I'm going to talk about, who actually I didn't even want back this year, to be honest with you, because the way he played in 2024, and that is the offer. I can honestly say I didn't expect the offer to be back. He played so bad in 2024 that to the point where I was like, man, not in 2023 he was decent. He played nickel for us and he was decent, but he had a bad 2024. And that could be contributed to Jimmy Lake, to be honest with you. I'm not sure, right? Because Jimmy Lake was the defensive coordinator, and maybe Jimmy Lake just didn't have the goods to get it done. But the fact that what D. Alfred was able to do this year, bounce back year, was really, really impressive. I mean, he played two positions. He played outside when AJ Terrell was out, and he made some huge plays during that time when AJ Terrell was out, with the hamstring. So he played outside. Then when Billy Bowman went down, he went back to nickel, right? Billy Bowman was having a really, really good rookie season, man. Billy Bowman would have been right up there with, Xavier Watts, James Pierce, and Jalen. He was having really that good of a season, right? I mean, he was really good coming off the edge. I mean, coming off the slot and blitzes. He was really, really good in coverage. I mean, Atlanta Falcons did a really good job. You got to tip your head off to Terry Fontenot and those guys, and that last regime for the draft they had in 2025. It was outstanding, man. It was really, really good. I mean it. All the defensive players they drafted was impactful from the start, right? Unfortunately, Billy Bowman went down with the Achilles. We'll see how he returns. That's one of those injuries that you don't like, to get. But D. Alford came in, and the way D. Alford played was really good. You remember the big, huge interception that he got in the Thursday night football game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when Atlanta Falcons had a record 19 penalties and still won the game, and D. Alford put the game away with that interception on Baker Mayfield. right? Also, the huge interception he had to seal the game against the Aints at the end of the season, right? Those are two plays, but if you go back and watch his play throughout, when he had to fill in for the starters, either AJ Terrell or Billy Bowman, he played really well. He picked up right where Billy Bowman left off, being that slot blitzer, coming in, making big plays, getting tackled for losses. D. Alford, I think he earned another contract here with the Atlanta Falcons, and I think the Atlanta Falcons should consider retaining him. Um, we know our cornerback room probably needs some upgrades around, but I think D. Alford deserve another trip here. And the fact that Jeff Albrecht is being retained, I think he probably put a good word in for him. Of course, they got to get the dollar amount right there and stuff like that to bring him back. But the offer should definitely have opportunity to come back and be the with this team going to 2026. So he would be my first guy that the Atlanta Falcons should definitely um, bring back. We got to come in here. It says, should LeBron consider hiring Deion Sanders as their head coach? Nah, he's not going. He don't want to. He don't want to go to the pros. And I think I think Deion gonna have a pretty good year this year. I like what he's been doing in the transfer portal. He's kind of pulling uh, a book from what Indiana just did, right? They went and got a lot of guys from the Power Fives and the FCS the conferences, and they went and got all pros in those conferences and guys that they seen play that really had success at that level, right? And you bring those guys up and prove that they can play at the Power Four level. The other guys that he was bringing in before, they was at the Power Four level, but they weren't getting playing time at the Power Four levels. They was backups, right? There was guys that was highly touted in high school, you know, 4 stars and stuff, but they weren't getting playing time in the Power Fours. These guys that they brought in this year actually played a lot in the you know the FCS Power Five guys, but they had success. They was really accomplished. Go look at who he has picked up so far, and he picked up a couple Power Four guys as well that was really successful. But I think the mixture of what they was able to get in high school, the transfer portal, the guys that was coming back. Remember they got Juju Lewis was going to be the quarterback there. Highly touted guy out of Georgia. I think this really he's going to have a really good year this year. So I don't think he's going to leave and go to the Cleveland Browns. So just answer that question. All right, the next guy that the Atlanta Falcons should retain is none other than Caden Ellis, the guy who led the team in tackles. Once again, I think this is maybe his third season leading the team in tackles. Caden Ellis, man, he's really a do it all linebacker for Atlanta Falcons. He plays on the edge. He plays in coverage. People talk about his coverage grades. His coverage is not that bad, and I know people don't look at PFF as the Bible, right? Because they ain't never really played, but they do the analytics and stuff like that. But he got a really a solid PFF grade in coverage. So you look at him, right? But I think his biggest attribute is where they line him up because he can line up on the edge. He can line up in the A gap, B gap. He can do all that stuff. And like I said, he's really good, really solid in coverage as well. So bringing back Caden Ellis, I think would be huge. Somebody that's really familiar with the Jeff Albrecht scheme already, especially playing beside Divine Diablo. I think that duo is really good. Divine Diablo is probably more, suited for playing in coverage, being a former safety and all that. But both of those guys play downhill. They both really aggressive. And like I said, Caden Ellis, he's really been solid for us. So Atlanta Falcons definitely should try to keep Caden Ellis, to keep that continuity in that linebacker room. So 100%. Don't know what his contract will look like, but hopefully they can get him in on a really good deal. But that's one of your free agents that when free agency start here on March 9th, because that's the tampering period. Free agency start March 11th. But once you start March 9th, you want to try to get your guy locked in quickly. And I think Kevin Ellis should be one of the first guys that they consider. He's a high priority free agent for me that the Atlanta Falcons should retain. So yes, Kate Ellis would definitely be one of those guys. And then of course, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is in a different situation. You know, of course, we know he had that 1,000-yard season, his first season with Matty Ice. Then he got hurt his second season, and then he had a plethora of different quarterbacks throwing him the ball. This season, he had another breakout season. He was an All-Pro, Pro Bowler. So that's what you do in your contract year, right? You put up the numbers so they have to pay you, and he was definitely able to do that. But I believe that Atlanta Falcons should franchise tag Kyle Pitts if they can't get a deal done right away. Franchise tag him just to keep him locked in before they can try to come up with a long-term deal. But because I do believe if you don't franchise tag him, he's out the door. He would definitely be gone. Right? You look at teams like the Tennessee Titans who need receivers, who need pass catchers to go, with Cam Ward, he would love a Kyle Pitts, right? Him and Calvin Ridley, that would be something huge for that. So, and they got $100 million cap space. The Vegas Raiders, I know they got Brock Bowers, but a lot of teams running 2 tight end sets now. You put Brock Bowers and Kyle Pitts out there, as pass catching tight ends, man, that'd be scary. So, look like what the New England was trying to do when they had Gronk and crazy dude, right? So, man, I just think they should keep him. I think he fits in what Kevin Stefanski likes to do from an offensive standpoint, from a scheme standpoint. Look at what Harold Fanny was able to do this year. I think Kyle Pitts fit more in that mode. David Njoku, right? David Njoku is more of a traditional tight end. He can catch, but he's more of a blocker as well. Tight end Kyle Pitts is not really. He was working on his craft blocking. Don't get me wrong, but he's more of a pass catching tight end, but he is needed here on this team, especially when you look at the pass catcher that Atlanta Falcons have and the chemistry that he already had developed with Michael Penix. I think is huge. So I definitely think that they should retain Kyle Pitts. Let's see here. We got some more comments right here. Before we go to my honorable mention, guys. He said Trayvon Diggs is free to go get his struggling behind. Hey, man. Trayvon Diggs is a gambler. I like his aggressiveness. If he's 100% healthy, they should check him out, man. Depending on what his dollar value would be, but I wouldn't mind having him on the opposite side of AJ Terrell. So, if the money's right, he says, let's see what else. Eddie says, it's all about productivity. Players are now, regardless where they're playing, 100%. That is true. I'm gonna get this one right here because I like this comment right here. Ricardo, what if Tyler leaves? The Falcons should bring in Nick Chubb. So let's go ahead and talk about Tyler Algier, right? And he's not a player that I mentioned that they should try to retain because I want Tyler to get his own team. I think he deserves that. I think he's a number one back in this league. He proved that his first rookie season had over 1,000 yards. The first running back to have over 1,000 yards since Devontae Freeman. So that's what I like about Tyler Algier. I think he worked really, really well with Bijan. So I'm not freaking saying that I want him to leave. But I don't think we can afford him. And I think he's going to get paid somewhere else. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't offer him. They maybe should offer him a contract and see if he'll take it. But man, I definitely believe that he should go somewhere else. I still believe, in my opinion, that the best place for him is the Kansas City Chiefs. I think, man, that team would be really, really good with Tyler Algier, a guy who's run downhill, um, have a little wiggle to him. He can catch out of the backfield. He's awesome in pass protection. So, this is a former linebacker, man, a walk on at BYU. This guy gets it out the mud, man. So I love Tyler Algier. Definitely wish he can stay, but I think he's gonna go get his money, man. That's what I believe. So what you just mentioned, Nick Chubbs, and you look at what he was able to do with Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland, 100% bring him in to back up Bijan Robinson. That would be awesome, awesome. And if you for the nostalgia and all that stuff, he played with the University of Georgia, so he'll be coming home, right? That would be awesome. And he's backing up Bijan. I mean, he won't have to be that workhorse that he was all those years with Cleveland. He can be the backup to Bijan, and he still got some chops. Go look at what he was able to do this year. So 100%, if they could make that happen, right? If they can't keep Tyler Algier, that should, in my opinion, could be the first guy that Kevin calls, because we know how much success he had playing up under him. So yes, great idea bringing in Nick Chubbs. NFC South will be competitive next season. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I don't know if you already seen it. Baker Mayfield, he ready to play Kevin Stefanski, because he said he didn't get a call, he didn't get nothing from Kevin Stefanski when they traded for Deshaun Watson. So, hey, he said he's looking forward to playing Kevin Stefanski twice a year. So he already coming into that game with a chip on his shoulder. I like that. I really like that, man. And it's up for the Atlanta Falcons to go shut him up, right? That's what we want to see. We want to see the Atlanta Falcons shut his ass up. He already talking, man. We ain't started yet. Stop talking, Baker Mayfield. We know you that dog. I ain't got nothing yet. I like Baker. Do you feel we'll bring in any quarterbacks from the draft or free agency, or stick with what we have? So this is an interesting, topic here, because of what Kirk Cousins did with the Atlanta Falcons. He pretty much gave them an option to cut him by restructuring his contract, moving his money to 2027, because it's like $2 million on the books this year, right? He moved $67.9 million in 2027, which would become guaranteed March 13th. With that being said, I think Kirk Cousins is going to be gone, unless they don't have a really, really, really good warm and fuzzy about the Michael Penix timeline, and with the relationship that Kevin Stefanski had with Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, where he had a 70% completion rate with Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota that year. That year he was the offensive coordinator. Kirk Cousins had a 70% completion rate. He went for over 3,500 yards, only 6 interceptions. He had a really, really good season under Kevin Stefanski that year in Minnesota. So with that being said, if they want to say they want to keep him, but they would have to restructure that contract again. That would be the only way they keep Kirk Cousins, because they're not going to go into 2027 owing him that much guaranteed money when they already gave him $100 million guaranteed already. Right? So he would pretty much begin the rest of that contract in one season if they wouldn't restructure. So they could redo it again 100%. And if they were willing to do that, to modify the contract again to keep him here, that would be something that I could see, right? But I think Kirk Cousins would want to guarantee that he's going to be the starter, right? Not just not until Michael Penix get back. And I don't know if the Atlanta Falcons are willing to do that, right? That's just what I'm saying, guys. So, he would probably be the perfect bridge quarterback, because he's already here. The the knowledge that he had with Kevin Stefanski, but the fact that his contract the way it is and the way they restructured it, I think he's going to be cut. I think he's going to be a post June 1 cut, right? And that way, if they do it that way, they can spread that money out over 2 seasons. So I think Kirk could be gone. So when you're talking about who we going to bring in, they could definitely draft another quarterback, but I don't know if you want to bring in another young quarterback. And plus, I don't know if Kevin Stefanski want to go through that again, having 2 young quarterbacks on his team, because look how that turned out last season for him. Get a veteran guy, bring him in. I mean, I think what needs to happen, they need to say Michael Penix is their guy, right? At least until they don't do they know for sure that he's not. Just say that he's the guy. Arthur Blank said it. He thinks he's the franchise quarterback. Matt Ryan didn't say that per se because he's leaving up to the coaching staff. I know that, but I think they need to come out and say that he's the guy. And then if that's the case, when you do sign a guy, he knows, he has an understanding that he's the bridge quarterback, and he's going to come in, and whenever Mike is ready, Mike will take over from that spot. That's what needs to happen. I don't know who that is. Personally, I would look at a guy like Jameis Winston to come in and be that guy. That would be huge for the Atlanta Falcons. Another guy who played with Kevin Stefanski, who had success with the Cleveland Browns. So he would be another guy that they could definitely consider. Jameis knows he'll be a bridge guy. He's been in the league long enough. He understands that, and I think he would work really well with Michael Penix Jr. as well. That's somebody that definitely they could consider. You could say Russell Wilson, but I don't know. I think he's past his prime, man. I really do. I don't think he got what it takes anymore. So, but I don't see him going in a draft. They do want to draft it to be late rounds. They only got like 4 or 5 picks, so I don't know if they waste a draft pick on a quarterback this year. I think they need to go in the veteran role. It's not a whole bunch of veterans out there, right? But hey, Kevin Stefanski probably don't coach with all the veteran quarterbacks that's old out there, so can definitely bring in a bridge. But they need to decide on a quarterback. We'll hear more, about this quarterback situation later on. But the idea would be have the Kirk Cousins come back to be that bridge. But Kirk Cousins say he still want to be a starter, and they're not giving him that much money. So you say thoughts on Tyreek Hill possibly coming to the Falcons? Man, that speed with Michael Penix's arm, man. And the coolest part about it was the if the Miami Dolphins cut him, we can work out a pretty good contract with him. You would definitely have to see how he come back from his injury, this thing. I mean, even if he can't run that 4.3 speed no more, 4.4, 4.5 still would be good, man. That guy is electric, man. And I think he would work well in what Kevin Stefanski wants to do, utilizing, that type of gadget. I won't say he's not a gadget guy. I'll take that back. That kind of speed and ability to change from one sideline to sideline. That's what you need to stretch the field to even create that threat for an arm like Michael Penix have. That would be something really, really special to see. So, what do you want to do with Mooney? I think Mooney has one more year of his contract. If he had one more year coming, he'll be back. I haven't really dived into all our free agency yet. I just know guys that I know 100% of free agents, and that's the ones I talked about that I would want to retain. But I think Darnell Mooney had one more year in his contract, so he will be here if he does. Because our receiver room is not good at all. I think they need to look in. That's one of the positions that they really need to look at. They need to look at receivers and in the draft and free agency. But Darnell Mooney, I think, had one more year left on his contract. T-Terry said Recondo, that was 6 years ago. Kurt is old and is go. Yeah, I think Kurt needs to go. I'm just saying their mindset because Michael Penix might not be ready. We got to have a quarterback. to fit into then, man. We got to have a quarterback for practice, right? For mini camp and all that stuff. We got to have a quarterback, right? We got to have a quarterback for OTAs, right? You got to remember these since he's a new coach, he's going to get an earlier date to start bringing guys in, but he can get them, acclimated to what he's like, what his routine and what he likes to do. So that's huge. So they need a quarterback. So it's got to be important to find out who they are. So that's the only reason I mentioned the Kurt situation because of that, because it's a known commodity. But I'd rather for them to go in a different direction. And I don't think unless they restructure that contract again. Well, I know they're not going to pay him that $67.9 million. He's 38. They're not doing that. That'll be cap malpractice. And I definitely say the Falcons don't know what the hell they're doing. They need to bring Raheem and Terry back if they decide to keep him and have $67.9 million on the book for next year. That would be insane. That would be insane. Eddie says Tyree won't be ready until mid-season at earliest. That means we can get him for cheap. He's a Georgia boy, I think. I think he is. Wait, where Tyree grew up at? I don't know his background. They getting Geno Smith once he's waived or Teddy Bridgewater. Man, be quiet. See you put out. I can man. Geno Smith is not bad. He's a good bridge quarterback. I wouldn't want him as my starter, but being a bridge guy, I think he would be good. I think the one reason because the way Kevin Stefanski coaches, and if you watch, he don't ask his quarterback to be Superman. He wants them to manage the game, protect the football, and make those timely throws. And I think Geno Smith can do that. Teddy Bridgewater, I think, is past his prime. I think he need to go ahead and call it quits. But Eddie said he grew up in Coffee County. Okay, that's right down the road. Okay, cool. T. Terry said Matt Ryan don't want Kurt here in his house. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, honestly, I don't think Matt wanted. I think he gone, man. I really do. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think, especially he over there trying to take Matt job already, man. Man ain't even the seat ain't even cold yet. And you already at CBS trying to get in house, man. Get out of here. Dante said I'd rather take Flacco over Cousins. Yeah, I agree. Hey, there you go. He knows the system as well too. Yeah, they need somebody though. Dartmouth said I went to Cascade Elementary. Cascade, you over off Cascade Road, man. Oh, that Cascade Road. All right, guys. Like I said, my honorable mention, guys, would be, of course, Tyler Algier. Next, it would be Armor Ebiketie, maybe, right? They give him 1 year cheap deal. He kind of got, be honest with you, Armor Ebiketie kind of got played out because of how well James Pearson and Jalen Walker was playing. Bringing back, what's his name? What's our other edge rusher name? Played with Georgia. I can't think his name, guys. If Raheem were here, I could see him coming back, but I don't know if they're willing to bring him back. Because he's a little older in the tooth. I can't think his name, man. That is sad. Think about the Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd. He's the other guy. Amber Ebiketie, Leonard Floyd. No, I couldn't think of his name for nothing for something to read. But Leonard Floyd will be the other guy, right? Because I like the rotation they had with Leonard Floyd, Amber Ebiketie, James Pierce Jr., and Jalen Walker. They had those guys, kept them fresh. They was rotating in and out. So all those guys, I really did. I like that. So that's something that they can definitely kind of look at and bring those guys back on on a good deal. Now, remember, Braylon Trice is coming back. So we have never seen Braylon Trice play. He's been hurt two seasons in a row, right? So hopefully he come back 100%. And this guy had never been injured before. So it's just bad luck, man. It's not like he was injury prone coming out of college. He wasn't. He just been injured twice in NFL back to back seasons. So hopefully he can get on the field, man. This will be his third season and haven't even played in a regular season game yet. Just bad luck for the guy. But he's coming back, and I really liked him coming out of the University of Washington in his rookie year. But we never got a chance to see what he can do. So Braylon Trice coming back, Arnold Ebiketie, Leonard Floyd, like I said, Tyler Algier. Who else? Maybe that's it. That's it, guys. I think other than that, they need to, take an inventory of this roster from top to bottom and improve or what they need to improve at around the edges. That's what they need to do. Say Raheem is up for the Green Bay job as defense coordinator. Man, guys, we play Green Bay next year in Green Bay. We play Green Bay next year in Green Bay. Our schedule next year is not friendly, guys. To be honest with you, I don't like it. But hey, man, they got to play us too. That's the way I look at it. But I don't like our schedule for next year. It's not a friendly schedule for the Atlanta Falcons. We play the AFC North and the NFC North, right? And we play the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. We play the Green Bay Packers play the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay, right? So our home opponents next year, the Chicago Bears, the Detroit Lions, the Baltimore Ravens, the Cincinnati Bengals, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Kansas City Chiefs. That is the Atlanta Falcons home game next year. Wow. Away games. The Green Bay Packers, and I'm not talking about our division opponents because we play those guys away, right? The Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, the Cleveland Browns, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, we play the Commanders every year. Why we play the Commanders every year for? That's crazy. Man, that is a tough schedule, man. This is a tough schedule. This is tough. I don't care what nobody says. This man. Woo. That's nasty. So we need to be ready next year. We really do, man. That's crazy. Says Falcon was talking about bringing that big nose tackle from Cleveland. They do, because we got to stop the run, man. We definitely got to stop the run. We know the Carolina Panthers want to run on us. We talk about teams in our division. All those teams want to run on us. It's interesting because the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, we don't even know who their coach is going to be, right? We don't even know their coaches. So Chicago Bears are ex-Sleazy. Grady Jarrett comes back home, right? We get to see Grady Jarrett and Drew Dahlman. Both of those guys will be here next year, at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This is going to be 2026 is going to be interesting, to say the least, because these games are not easy. I mean, it's the NFL. None of these games are not easy, but the Atlanta Falcons got a pretty tough schedule next year. They play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They play 6 teams next year that was under 500. The rest of the team was above 500. So they played 6 teams next year that was below 500. Everybody else was above. So this is a tough schedule for Atlanta Falcons. They need to get ready to be ready to roll. That's why they need to identify that quarterback position and make sure they ready to go. But yes, that no tackle out of Cleveland, he's a free agent. Definitely has familiarity with with Kevin. So that would be cool to bring them in. But guys, there you have it, man. Like I said, you know, Kevin Stefanski is billing this coaching staff like we hoped he would. He's not just going out hiring all his buddies, thinking that you know status quo, because whatever he had in Cleveland, it wasn't good enough, right? Because they would have won more games, especially the last 2 seasons. So you need to switch it up a little bit and change some things around. And you like to see that he's doing that. Um, at least doing their due diligence. Like I said, you might end up with Tommy Reese at the end of the day, but bringing in guys, for interviews is what you like to see. So kudos to him on that. Um, Hopefully we can decide about, these free agents guys that we're going to retain. That's the first thing you do. You look at your own free agents first, see if you want to retain any of those guys. Jeff Albrecht is probably going to have some say, especially on the defensive side of the ball, who they might want to retain. And like I said, I think Matty Ice, them should definitely have something to say about Kyle Pitts. Man, he had like I said, all pro. The talent is there. It's been inconsistent to say the least. So maybe they could get a discount a little bit. Did have an all pro year this year, but man, those other teams is gonna kick up some bread for Kyle Pitts. I can promise you that. So Atlanta Falcons, might be something, right? So can't wait to see what happens, man. So there you have it, guys. Let me know what you think about the new hire so far, Bill Callahan. Your thoughts on who you think they're going to bring in, the OC, special teams coordinator, and then your thoughts on the free agents, the Atlanta Falcons' own free agents, and who they should retain with that money that they have. They can definitely create more with some more restructures and things like that to try to build more cap space. But man, this is a big season for the Atlanta Falcons, so they need to take their time and get it right, do their due diligence. With that being said, this is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.